to my channel, Scary Stories. Today's video is the story of the dangers of Instagram fame. I had a coworker a few years ago, Matt, who became obsessed with fame around the idea of being famous. He was too lazy to pursue anything original, creative arts, but he figured out fame would just come to him one day, like a dog scratching at his door. You remember those kids in school that used to copy your work and try to take credit? He was one of them. It didn't matter if it was drawing a cartoon tree crying or being cut down by a logger with a chainsaw. The same image would end up on a sheet of paper praised by the teacher and stinking of unoriginality. Matt hit a jackpot one day and got a small bungalow on a quiet cul-de-sac. It was away from the sounds of emergency sirens and gridlocks in the city. The bungalow itself was a cookie-cutting and looked the same as every other house and a perfect fit for Matt. Anyway, he bought the place at auction for a dirty cheap and had to throw out the leftover tenants. He chunked out everything from the old pea-stained Chesterfield with cigarette burns to some ugly beige kitchen cabinets covered in pork grease, and God knows what something of interest that Matt found in the house. Hidden in the bedroom closet was a cardboard box with a mug of old stuff. He was curious, as everyone would be, so he lifted the box and placed it on the straggly carpet floor. He had this cheap Owens penknife in his pocket that he used to sharpen sticks with as a kid. He never went without it. Anyway, he cut through the tape and couldn't wait to see what was inside. Photographs. There must have been hundreds, or maybe even thousands, all glossy with mint condition. On each one was the sticky woman posing in different garments. And when I say sticky, she was the most beautiful woman Matt has ever seen in his life. She had long, flowing red hair, down to her shoulder blades, blue eyes so inviting you'd think you were a kid with free rhythm candy store. Her eyes seemed to jump out of each picture. In some photos, she was modeling bare summer and others a cozy fall knit sweater in others. Who was she? There was no name etched in the box or scribbled anywhere on any photo. Matt rifled through several to see if any means of identification. That afternoon he lost track of time until it was dark. He amused himself looking through each photo of her, staring at each one, with her staring at him. Each newly discovered pose gave Matt this sense of wanton desire. Those piercing blue eyes grabbed him in a way that he'd never felt before. Flick, 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 flick. Each newly discovered photo was more discoverable than last. Each new outfit simmered. Each close to the bottom of the box, she was out of clothes altogether. Matt had an Instagram account for him just as a normal piece of social media at this moment. He wanted to see what his favorite wrestler was benching during workouts. He wanted to know what food affects his sleep patterns. He wanted to be behind the scenes, making up effects to actors on sets during making of favorite B-movies. There were his primary instance and discovered Instagram models. There was his personality started to change. In no time, Matt's account was filled with constant updates and images of beautiful women, all skipping iced teas and banderias, supposed in Southern California, wearing just each clothing of a South-African content rules and regulations of the scrolls through his phone, constantly addicted, even at work when he didn't even think one of the swing loungers would notice. He stood there, oogling. Eventually he lost interest in wrestling movies and B-movies and horror icons until it was a slew of different models in all shapes and sizes appeared on his phone, each satisfying his perverted curiosity in a different way. Either I mentioned Matt's little character flaws. He's obsessed with fame. Well, some of these models on Instagram have millions of followers, and those followers turn to give him the millions of likes, that beautiful little seals of approval. The nice dopamine shot to get through the day. Sometimes it can even get irritating. when it comes to sponsorships and advertisements. So fame and money just from posting stuff online. Well, Matt thought to himself, why not create an account using a made-up name and post these photos he newly discovered? If this was perfect, the girl could draw in followers like him, and he achieved everything he thought he ever wanted. Matt didn't show up for work after that. He didn't call in sick or request emergency vacation time. He just never left his house. The large computer screen in his bedroom gave all the internet feeds he could handle. Days turned to weeks, and Matt's appearance changed. The flowing-faced 100-pounder had withered down to almost a skeleton. His face was drawn and sunken. He didn't care. The new Instagram account was booming. In just a few weeks, this mysterious girl's face and body had lured over 10 millions of followers from around the world, gazing upon her. Matt's inbox was filled with messages of one from fans begging her to another fix, messages containing marriage proposals, job offers, and sponsorships were in hundreds of thousands. She was the newest Instagram sensation, and her name was Nia Seveni. That was part of his creation. The name, and was probably the most original idea he ever entered basal gray matter of his brain. That had made money more importantly gotten his taste of fame, or rather Nia's fame. Soon Nia's wings were spread and more social media, her face was appearing on news channels around the world, general public, even becoming obsessed with her. Especially since they only seen her pictures and no video footage. There was news stories, it must have scared Matt even before everything else happened. Miss Gold was interviewed on the news channel. She was in her 60s and looked older. The six-pack of smoke a day kind of person. On the program, she claimed to be the mysterious mother's girl's mom, and I never forgot her face. It was chilling. She was sobbing, uncontrollably pleading for the page to take down. She claimed that Nia Sabrina was, in fact, Megan Gold. Megan went missing from her home 3 years ago, leaving behind a pool of blood. Nobody was ever found. Matt became furious, but Nia didn't care, and curiously posted the photos, sometimes as many as 6 in a day, just to satisfy the public craving as well as his. He didn't care for anything else. His lawn was ungrown and was growing like crazy. Jungle flies zipping around his kitchen, spraying upon the dirty dishes. His goat was floating dead in the dirty tank. All the while, Matt's own personal health must have declined. Then one day, Nia's account stopped updating. Matt used up all the photos in the box. All of them, except for the unnatural ones at the bottom. Instagram had verified itself as an portable tool, and Matt schoolishly faced celebration through and creating an OnlyFans account for those raw photos. The amount of money and fame involved here could be positive goldmine. Matt had been using a scanner to connect to his computer for uploading the physical photos. So he proceeded to state that the new batch of skin. At first, he estimated that he must have been a glitch on his PC. The photos didn't upload properly. It just presented him in a dark fit image. He couldn't make a head or tail out. He removed the physical photo and put it back to the scanner again. All while he was going on, Matt didn't notice a figure standing in the corner of his bedroom. Matt's face dropped and he looked at the screen. It couldn't have been real. The image of the scanning was his PC was of him, sat in the bedroom on his computer desk. The image was taken by the corner of the room at this point. Matt was breathing heavily, feeling ribcage tickled, and began to turn his head slowly, and his quiver grounded a dark, unwieldy figure with bent knees and burning limbs. He was facing it, but the shape just stood there in the dark. The tension was too much. Then he heard a voice. His ears positively pricked up when he heard a ghostly voice whispering from his computer screen. My name is Megan. I'm still not sure to this day how the videos was able to upload to his Instagram page, but I never get the images out of my head as long as I live. In the video, Matt sat in his desk with every crackling wall space taken up with 7 photos of the girl. His pale expression haunted, seemingly in a trance, repeating out loud that his name was Megan, slowly carving his own face off down the muscle fiber with Owen's penknife. Wow, so I want to remind you guys to be safe on Instagram because you don't know what can happen, and I'll see you guys in my next video.